Hey everybody, welcome back to Dialog Choices podcast. It's our first episode since October, and now it's December. We did it.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
We
been a
spent a
rough
whole month
few
without
months.
making a podcast.
there were events that would make you not feel like doing a thing.
It just wasn't a time to be communicating to people.
No, but anyway, I made a video game, I guess, in that month.
He did.
Ta-da!
Keith did make a
Basically,
video
in the
game.
time since the last podcast, I have spent basically every day working on a furry visual novel called Since November, which you can find at itch.io, the website where all the indie games are that aren't on Steam because they don't want to deal with everything that is involved with being on Steam. I made it in RenPy, and I got it was for the November Game Jam, which was a thing where it's just, hey, let's all make furry visual novels this month. And the only rule is it has to have a bear, which is the most vague nothing rule possible, basically.
Also the easiest to fulfill.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe you hate bears. This could be a real challenge for
Look,
you.
literally
I do
any
hate
game,
bears.
any game
Same.
has a bear in it. If you just are willing, even if it's like full humans, as long as you're willing to just like retroactively say that Dumbledore is
Yeah.
gay or something.
Yeah, it
What?
was this big old game jam. It provided these sprites, and so I figured I was going to make the game with these sprites. There was a funny thing where, like, Arcadia, the artist, they were taking a while to actually come out with the sprites for the game, and I wasn't entirely sure even how many characters there were going to be, so I just wrote a story about 4 characters who aren't the protagonist, and just prayed that would work out. And so I was very happy when there happened to be 4 characters, and then I was going to apply each of these 4 characters to the 4 characters in my game. But then Flog showed up in my inbox and just asked to do the art for my game when there was no context yet about what my game even was or what I had planned or what I was doing. At that point, I was about halfway done writing it. So I just suddenly had an artist who had worked on like the CGs of parts of Echo and stuff like that, and just suddenly my game comes to life with these like shockingly good drawings, and just it's all like very like brought to life in a way that I didn't really expect. I also had to hastily come up with new species for all the characters because there weren't going to just be the provided sprites for everybody. So I pretty much just I replaced all of the species in like an hour. I'm like, I guess there's these because the funny thing about game jams is like you just got to keep going. Like we're working on a time limit. I don't have time to just like let things come to me or whatever. It's like we need to come up with what's going to happen next now. In particular, my goal was to finish the entire script in like the first like week or two, because originally I thought it was going to be because then I could spend the next week programming the game and then the next week creating as many art assets myself as I could. But since I had a team, all of a sudden it became I need to finish this as fast as possible so I can actually send all the information because you need to finalize the script so you know what you're making before you start making assets for scenes that get cut and stuff like that. So and also I was really nervous that that my story wasn't going to be enough to like make the whole thing worth it. Like once there was a second person that was talented, that was involved in this thing and investing their month in it, I was way more self-conscious about whether or not the project would be good enough for them because because they deserve more. So then I went out and I reached out to Red Means Recording to do music because I was like, this is a team now. I need to like actually have like all the different elements working hopefully. And everyone kept surprising me because I told Flog that like the most efficient, like I figured the most sensible thing to do is that instead of trying to make 4 fully functional sprites with facial expressions and everything like that and a bunch of different alts and then trying to make backgrounds, it's probably most efficient just to like draw a scene for each scene of the game and just have an illustration, because then you don't have to deal with all the complexities of drawing so many different character sprites with all the different expressions and poses, and then also drawing a background or so on. So I kind of expected that he would draw like one thing per scene, and instead he drew like several drawings per scene, like to the point where it's like a at times it starts turning into like an automatic, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I was gonna say I mean, he has experience doing this, right? So I'm sure he is. I don't know. I would imagine he has like an optimized idea of how to do this efficiently and what needs already knowing what needs to be made. Because
but it's just so much work. It's way more work than I expected anyone to invest in something like this. Because like,
and the composition of the art is also bold and daring. The Falk really has a like. It's one thing to come up with the lines for all the perspective weirdness, not weirdness, but just like proper all out. But the other thing that Falk does really well that I'm really emphasizing is the line art, just conveying the implied shape and weight of each element. Like even simple scenes like a balcony or some drawers, and the way the lines work together fits so well. It feels so lovely. And then obviously the characters, but I've only played like an hour of the test version of the game. I haven't played it yet, but to completion. But every scene that I've seen is just it's just it goes all out. It goes all out with the art, which is very good. And it's not shaded as well, at least from what I've seen. It's not like fully shaded, so there's still, if you want to come here and colorize everything, or it's just colorized. So if you what's colorized mean? It's the other way, right? It's when it's black and white, and you colorize it to make it kind of.
I was going to say, when people say colorized, they're talking about like coloring old photos.
Yeah. So but what I'm saying is that if you want to add like more expensive shading, there's room here. There's a lot of room.
A lot of it's shaded. It's a lot of it's like cell shaded, basically.
Cell shaded is what I meant to say. Yeah, two tones.
You have the final version comes out in January, right?
I think so. Yeah. Because they ended up making a lot of art, but also didn't quite finish, and the game jam is over. So that's like the time limit for turning in a build. So that's why the game's going live now. But I'm calling it the 0.9 version because it's pretty far. Like the soundtrack is final, probably. The story is probably final. Like there aren't more chapters coming out or anything. Like it's all there. There's just we need to come back and do an art update in a few weeks or something. Because there's more to do. Yeah, it's just I can't be surprised by how much like people get invested in this and how much people were putting work into this. Because like when I brought in Red Bean's recording, I was just like, okay, you have this big sound library that you've been putting together on itch.io, and I was like, I'd love to if you want to get involved, like it'd be cool if you like helped me like pick out tracks. Since you have experience with this kind of stuff, I figured. But then he would, I could see I could tell the disappointment was there, and I realized like, oh, he just wants to make the soundtrack. He ended up just making the soundtrack from scratch for the game. And I'm like, that's not the level of investment I was expecting. Why are people so ready to put so much work into my thing?
I think it's very synthy. Having the outlet for a creative project just feels nice. Sometimes you don't really have I don't know, you're not going to make your own visual novel kind of thing, you know? So like having someone come up and say, hey.
Especially if it gives you inspiration. Like I know the feeling of listening to a song and being like, no, I want to do something like that, but a little bit different. And then I just, jam on it for half an hour and I'm good. But, it's Red Mean's recording is more like synthesizer focused soundtrack, right?
Yeah, to an extent at least. I don't know anything about music is the problem. Immediately, I felt like a failure as a team leader because I was talking to somebody that I had no idea how to talk to direct. So I was like, immediately, I'm like, I don't know any music terminology. Like when we started talking genres, I was immediately out of the scope. I'm like immediately didn't know what any of the things he was saying were.
Genres are difficult though, even for people who are experienced in music. It's like I feel that even talking about like niche genres that I'm very familiar with. People will because people have different definitions and then different like priorities, and it's fun
Yeah.
to talk about genres, but like I imagine
I think
they're
you'd be I think you'd be a psychopath if you knew exactly how to talk about every genre and every piece of making a game. Like that's
Yeah.
not your
Yeah.
like even as a team lead, that's not your responsibility to understand that. The goal is just to ensure that what you're looking for can come to fruition, regardless of like, terminology. Like you should, I don't know, when someone's making a movie, for example, they don't go to like John Williams and go like, okay, I want it exactly like this, because like John would just be like, fuck off, dude. That sounds stupid. Like that's not what that means. That's not how that works. Like just easier to be like, this is what I want to convey. This is kind of the goal that I'm looking for and the kind of sounds I'm looking for. And then artists would be like, okay, I got you. I know what you mean. Like it's similar to art. Like you don't just tell the artist like, yeah, I want you to use this type of pen. I want you to use this type of stroke method. You like all you need to know is just like, hey, these are the angles I'm looking for, the kind of coloring, like tone I'm looking for, and that's it. And then they'll be like, okay, I can do that. I can figure it out.
I remember I
Otherwise,
asked because I talked about having a song, a track being cozy, and they like, okay, but what flavor? Lo-fi, hip hop, acoustic, ambient, city pop. I'm like, what is city pop?
What is
Hang on a minute.
City pop's good. You know what city pop is? City pop's good.
No.
My only exposure even when you say lo-fi hip hop, I'm just like beats to study / relax to.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like that's the best I know.
That's exactly what they're talking about. Yeah, that's fine. Like for me, I like a lot of for relaxing music. I like mallcore. I like mallcore and vaporwave. Both of those.
Those are still
for me.
Those are still lo-fi. Well, not vaporwave.
Yeah. I mean, mallcore isn't really lo-fi either.
It isn't.
The goal of because mallcore includes a lot of ambient sound that you hear from a mall. So like people chattering, the movement of people, stuff like that. The idea is that you're creating you're recreating the atmosphere of being in a mall, without all the worst parts of being in a mall, like having to physically be there and be around stinky people.
And those fucking those countertop stores that are in the middle of the like public part of the mall, and then their fucking workers just chase you down, accosting you while you're trying to walk past them, ignoring them, and they're so pushy that they'll start yelling at you.
Wow, my god.
It's a bad business.
It's like,
basically
sir. I'm like, fuck off. I don't want to look at your jewelry or whatever.
Do you have your earbuds on? And they can't, I mean, you can't.
Yeah, I'm trying to ignore them with my earbuds in and stuff like that. I also had like people just like start massaging me, and then they try to pull me into their store. And I'm like, no, I don't like
no.
How did that happen?
Oh, no,
walk past a place?
Because it's a massage store.
I mean, still,
unrelated,
like,
unrelated
I feel
actions,
but usually touching a stranger is pretty.
No, it's like weird.
Brazen.
There's the mall people are like really aggressive at trying to get you in. I remember in particular.
Crazy. I don't think I've ever been.
This is my weird mall day where it was the second time I got into Pokemon Go, and at this point I was more aware. I was like more hardcore into it, because the first time I was just playing it casually with people and wandering around and be like, oh, this game's interesting. But like once you play too much Pokemon Go, you start like trying to figure out how to optimize it. Obviously, it's like you install a second app that scans the screen and tells you what the IVs of your Pokemon are. You get onto the website that like tells you where all of the different rotating nests are in your local area, like on a Google Maps integrated thing, so you can tell where to go to hunt them down. And you start paying attention to like when the community days are happening, because the community days are the days where if you play Pokemon on this day, like this one Pokemon gets just obnoxiously common, like it's almost the only thing that exists, and it's both a way to farm that particular Pokemon so much that you get to like you get a good IV one and evolve it to maximum form, but also like a bunch of shinies are likely to spawn because they become more common. So it's just like those kinds of events. Like this is part of like that time when I went to Sacramento, because Sacramento, like Capital State Park, has the highest density of Pokestops in this entire part of California. So when they did an event that was like, here's an experience bonus for spinning Pokestops you've never spun before, like an adventure day or whatever, I drove down there to hang out. because I was like, let's do this, and I gained like 10 levels in a game that only has 40 levels in one day because of the huge bonus. And then I rock chipped my my windshield, and I put up with that crack spidering across my windshield for the next 2 years because I definitely address problems when they appear.
I mean, that's an expensive problem anyways, so
Yeah, but I had there was a day where there was a community day for Pokemon Go when it was 107 degrees out.
sounds about
And
right.
I'm like, no,
Sounds about California.
Modesto's stupid. So I'm like, I'm going to spend this community day at the mall. So I was just walking up and down the length of the mall on the top floor, basically, in the air conditioning, and just hanging out and catching dumb Pokemon when I was doing that. And that's when I started getting really aware of, like, if you pass certain stores, the people get pushy and annoying. So I kept changing my route to get away from the more annoying workers that just come at you. I increasingly just hate malls because of that strange energy. I don't want to be accosted. I thought malls were supposed to be chill. I don't want some random person just bothering me all the time.
Well, Keith, malls are chill when they're not like on their deathbed.
Yeah.
When you think about a mall, usually the mall is like a bustling, busy marketplace. But now malls are like apocalypse scenarios. You go in there and it's like one Hot Topic and one shoe store, and then a bunch of empty stores around. They're just it's just a dead marketplace. So people are
causes
desperate
me
when they see
emotional
people...
stress to tell someone no. So I don't like
what?
that dynamic, that pressures that where you have to do it so often.
I think you're not overthinking what no means. Like, you're not overthinking enough about what you're declining.
I'm not overthinking enough. That's a terrible thing to tell me.
No.
You should never tell me that I'm not overthinking enough.
You need to be thinking about it a lot more. Like, you need to think about the fact that saying no is actively harming their ability to make a living. Most of those people are, like, especially the ones that are in the center of those things, they live based on how many people sell the stuff. It's not like an hourly thing for them. It's often like commission based. Some of them are hourly, but it's like,
I feel like you're guilting me for saying no.
You're making it worse.
Yeah,
no,
your logic makes things worse. Why are you saying this?
Because it's like you get to be a tourist on a sinking Titanic. You have a boat. You're allowed to leave.
Oh, right.
Time,
you like hurting people.
Yes,
that's what
you need
mean.
to think about it negatively. That's the
like,
thing. Is like when I go.
About? I'm like, this makes it way worse. Shut up.
I love it. I love malls. But the thing about malls is that they're, like I said, they're basically just sinking ships, and you get to go in there and kind of see the hobbling held together by string things that keep it afloat. And that's fun. You get to be like a what do you call it? A disaster tourist. You get to kind of show up and watch as a thing
going to an American mall
life.
is disaster tourist.
No, yeah. It sounds really silly, but you go to most malls in America right now that aren't like, I don't know, the Mall of America or some kind of mall that's like 40 stories tall. Most of them are pretty life supporty. Like, they genuinely have barely anything in there except for like one huge department store and a bunch of like kind of smaller stores you would never really go to. They're just dying. It's a dying thing. Like, no one wants to go to a mall because you can just shop online. And
it's funny because the method, like malls as a thing, at least here in Portugal, they never really picked up. We have big shopping centers that are kind of like malls in terms of the they're just bigger, I suppose. But what happens here a lot is that, for example, you'll have like a Leclerc or whatever, like a big convenience store. It's not a convenience store. You just called it. You just said the term. Like a Target or something like that. But
a department
on
store,
the outside.
yeah.
Sorry.
A department store is what they're called.
Yeah, department store. And on the outside, not the outside, but like you go in but before you go into the store proper, there's lines of shops, and those shops will be specialty shops, like flower shops or maybe like phone repair. And that method like it lives pretty well still to this day, because um the fundamental attraction of the big department store is so crucial that it's easy for shops to set up set up a clientele outside,
Hmm.
right? Because they're just feeding off of the traffic, right? So it's basically like
Yeah.
having a mall in that sense. But it's weird because
So
yeah, go ahead.
the problem in America is that I don't know if you noticed this anytime that you've been here, is that America has like hundreds of malls, like trillions of malls per square meter. We have both malls and shopping
That's
centers. And no, seriously,
like
like you when you drive
microbes.
around any yeah, like when you drive around a town in America, you're going to see a bunch of business parks or a bunch of like small shops in a big parking lot area, and they're all like facing the parking lot. It's just a shitty mall. Like we
Hmm.
have a bunch of these tiny microscopic versions of a mall that don't have an internal like lane inside. Instead of all the shops
Mhm.
being facing inside of a building, they're all facing to the parking lot. And you just go into those shopping centers. But we have
Mhm.
you go to a mall in America, and outside of the mall is a shopping center. There are just more stores that aren't inside the mall. It's
Yeah.
fucking stupid. So that's the reason that mall culture also started to die, is that like, why the fuck? Like, there are just businesses everywhere. Every single like corner of this country is either a suburban home or a business park. And it's like at some point the mall just doesn't make sense. Why do I need to go to one centralized building for shopping when I can literally just drive down the street and see more and more and more businesses? Like it doesn't make sense. And then again, you add the factor of like, how are they getting there? By car? Well, gas is kind of expensive. Cars are kind of expensive. Public transit isn't very good. Like it's a culmination of like a lot of obvious. When you look at it from a distant perspective, you go, yeah, like why would a mall survive here? That makes no sense. A mall should never exist. And then you go to it and people are like, oh, I remember this mall used to be popping. And then you're like, yeah, but what was around this mall? Like when this mall was first made, what was around the mall? Was it nothing? Was it more shopping complexes? Because usually it's restaurants. Like they'll put a lot of restaurants around a mall, and then the mall in the center will have all of the business. Uh, but then it just turned into like, no, just build department stores outside the mall. And it's like, well, why am I going in the mall then? Like, why am I going to go in the mall if the department store's outside the mall? Like, it just America's
Oh,
very
I
dumb.
see.
America's just very stupid. Most other countries don't allow that kind because they don't have the room for that kind of stupid asshole behavior. Like Portugal doesn't have the room to waste on like 20 trillion fucking micro businesses surrounding one giant monolithic business department store. Like you just don't set up your cities that way because that would be asinine. But land of the free or whatever.
It's a
But
lot
yeah,
of people.
those
It's also the fact that the fact that the roads move so many people at any like to any destination really allows for the sprawl to just to not have, like, it's not like you have a city center where space is at a premium necessarily because that's where the trains stop, or maybe that's whether there's tourism or whatever. Obviously you do have a city center, but what I'm trying to say is that because the roads are so efficient at moving people all over the place, not necessarily in huge quantities, but they can go anywhere. It means that there's no restriction, there's no inherent restriction to where you can put a business because people are on the road anyway. So what does it matter, right? But in a
I'm
more
starting
traditional
to
city,
like I agree with you. I agree what you're saying. Like it does make sense. I do find though that like as time goes by, that is increasingly less so. Like the more,
oh,
even if
okay.
you keep sprawling out, right? The problem is that even if you keep sprawling out, you're just making the distance people have to travel to get a good harder and longer. And that creates less incentive to do it.
Yeah.
Like it's better to just do it from home. Why would I not just shop online when I don't have to leave or go drive 15 minutes just to go pick up like a screw from Home Depot? Like, no, screw that. I'm going to go on Amazon, I'm just going to type in the name of the screw, have it shipped to me, and then get to spend the rest of my day actually catching up on living because most of my day is spent working and exhausting myself. So now I have to go and like basically have to redo the fucking pilgrimage. Oh man, I want a thing. Now I got to drive for 15 minutes to go get the stupid thing I need so I can come back home and spend an hour doing the project I needed. It's too much work.
Funny because I know so many people who will who enjoy the excuse to go out of the home or go out of their normal routine to go and drive those 15 minutes to pick up the screws. And they it's funny because I'm thinking of this one cousin of mine it's a big deal for him. Not that he doesn't get out of the house, he does, but it's just, oh no, he makes a big deal when he has to go to the department store to buy screws. Oh, I'm going. Let's go. Do you want to come with me? We're making a trip. It's just, and obviously, it's so much more convenient to get it shipped, especially with same day shipping. It's just it's better. But
like, I guess the way to put it is, I needed to go. Like a good example is yesterday, I needed to go get litter for the cats, and in order to get that, I had to drive 15 minutes to go to the nearest pet store that had the litter I needed. So I had to drive 15 minutes out. Well, when I went out, I realized I also needed to go pick up some food. Like I need to pick up some stuff for dinner. Well, to get dinner, I have to drive 20 minutes in the opposite direction to go to the store to go get food. So I had to drive 15 minutes out to, isn't this great? I had to drive 15 minutes out to go get this litter. Then I had to drive 20 minutes back in an opposite direction, further past my home to go get the food. And then I had to drive, about 5 to 10 minutes to get back home. So I spent over an hour just to go to two stores. And that's it. And I ordered the litter ahead of time. All I had to do was show up to the place, pick it up, and go. That's stupid. I don't want to live like that. Meanwhile, I go to a European city. I'm like, I want to go this. And it's like, well, here's the shopping area. Go here. And you're like, oh, okay. Here's the district of shops. And you walk down maybe a 10-minute at most road that has pretty much all the shops in the area. And if not, it's a square. So it's literally set up like a mall that's outside, but instead of a giant off parking lot in the center of it, it's literally just a giant squared area with a bunch of buildings kind of packed in as much as possible. And you just walk around it like you would a mall. And that's usually the way that they set it up because it makes sense that way. I want to do all the shopping in a centralized area. I don't want to go on a fucking adventure for this. It's fine to take a journey to the place to go shopping, but I don't want shopping to also be its own journey. I don't want to have to go to different parts of the town just to go shop to places. I want to go to a centralized location to shop for the things that I need, like a mall of some kind.
Yeah,
it's just
it's interesting because my experience, I will also waste time to go to two different places for the non-centralized places, but it's just because there are still sort of small shops here. So, for example, if I need, I don't know. Well, I was thinking of something I bought not on a whim, but paint, for example. If I need paint, I know the place that sells paint, and it's 10 minutes, a 10-minute drive from where I live. So if I had to go there and then had to go eat, I wouldn't be able to eat close to or find food or whatever. I wouldn't be able to eat close to that paint shop. But if I wanted to go to a place like that, I would easily what I'm trying to say is if I wanted to eat and get paint, I wouldn't go to the normal small shop that I go to, because I would just go to a big shopping mall thing. Not mall. What do they call? We call them shopping centers here, but I don't think that's the expression.
It's probably just in its core, it's just a market. It's just a market that has different branding. It's no right. It's no different than if you go to
it has
you go to down but it's like when you go to you go to a farmer's market. We have a thing called a farmer's market, which is just a bunch of booths essentially like you would see at a convention, and it's just got a bunch of people selling food. That's just a mall.
The old school style of markets. Yeah, we still have those as well.
But you can't do that here because those freak out people here. They're not used to the idea of people don't really understand the concept of market commerce like that. They just think of oh my God, it's weird. It's not in a storefront. It must be illegal. You're like, no, people can sell things. You don't have to have a
That's
You don't
wild.
have to have like 5,000 square feet of property to sell things. Like you can.
Yeah, farmers markets are I've found they're a great way to if you're new to a European city, go to their local farmers market and see, see the small little shops that sell like little knickknacks. It's less touristy. Well, some cities are less touristy in farmers markets, and if you're staying, you can buy food for dinner at the same time. They're a great place to. I think I've ever like every major city that I've visited, I have visited their farmers market, and they're a great place to get to see to get to know the people and know the place. They're not obviously the tourist spot, but they're great. They're fantastic. My favorite one was in um uh what is it called? Oh, Valladolid. That's the name of a town in Spain. And it's just the cute the cutest little farm like market. Got these arcades, and like arcades is in like arcs, what the old school name for the word arcade. And then
I don't know
just
what that
everybody
means. What do you mean? Just like
yeah, they're the walls on the outside of the market, so the market is covered, right? And the outside walls have like arches that make it like a little
oh, okay.
subdivision, and then they have some shops in those walls, but not everywhere. And on the interior is it's sort of like more open sky because the roof is so big, and it's really pretty. It's got like trees inside and stuff. And
Okay.
that was my favorite. But still.
Anyway,
Do
Keith,
go
you need to
on.
go and insult mall goers more often. You need to like revel
Just
in
to their
their failure
faces.
to.
Just take them out.
Just
yeah.
say no. Just go no.
Yeah, just look
No.
at them with the biggest smile on your face, like I don't want any, and then you ruin their day.
I don't.
Oh no, that is so not.
Be the weirdo that like is actively taking pleasure in this incredibly minor interaction.
I can't believe you do this, Keith. In Christmas season.
I get a right to. I did 3.
No, I can't believe you would do it, not Keith.
What the fuck? I did.
kidding,
I've
I'm
done
kidding.
3 of those pyramid scheme jobs. I used to sell. I used to sell subscriptions to DirecTV inside of Best Buys, and I know Keith remembers these people.
Okay.
I definitely did that for a while. That entire.
I can't believe
only
people
did them
stop
because
wanting to go to Best Buys when there's several like micro companies that are walking around inside the Best Buy also trying to sell you stuff.
Home Depot does this too. You go into like any Home Depot or Lowe's, there's gonna be like solar people. There's like weird water heater people. It's just like guys.
Oh my God.
Okay, it's wild. But the point is that these kind of systems are really shitty. They're just like sales, but with the twist of crime. Because they're very clearly pyramid schemes. You get into them, like especially the DirecTV one. It literally was, hey, you need to get as many people as you possibly can to help recruit to sell DirecTV subscriptions. Those subscriptions then go to like a cumulative payout system, which basically goes to your boss. And then your boss distributes the profits from that to everyone below, which is not good.
In like a pyramid shape.
Yeah, in like a pyramid shape where the guy who's not doing anything is getting a lot of money because he got a lot of other people to do the job for him. And that job requires them to get more people under them to do the job for them to make more money, which, yeah, I wonder how long that can sustain itself.
That's not how pyramid schemes are defined, but yeah, it does sound like a pyramid scheme.
I'm pretty sure that's how a pyramid scheme is defined. Is like there's somebody at the top who needs to get more people underneath.
Yeah, but that's just normal capitalist business. You need to
yeah, I mean that's
no, you need to add
he's cracked it wide open.
No. There's a distinction. Let me defend capitalism here for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
The pyramid scheme specifically add the incentive of not working, of like you are recruiting people, but what they want to do is themselves not work, and they because they recruit more people. So it's
correct. So the goal is that eventually, right? So there's the person at the top, then it has the managers below him because they've gotten enough people underneath them that they can now become managers. And the goal is that everyone eventually becomes managers, because then what happens is you have the CEO, you have people who, like the first line of people got into this pyramid early, who now have enough people underneath them that those people can become managers if they get enough people underneath them. And now you're taking over more districts because now you can do more Best Buys. Like, it is just a pyramid scheme. The only difference is that the dollar investment is different, I guess. Like, you're not there are some that make you pay to join, right? Those ones are I don't know if that's
because
the pyramid or Ponzi.
The reason
I can't remember which one that is, but
the Ponzi scheme is the one where the money
it's
grows.
all scams.
Yeah. But the Ponzi needs to have return, if I remember correctly, like immediate return, not a barrier to entry. The barrier to entry is just exists because you're justified. Well, from a sales perspective, you're sort of justified in pitching it as a, oh no, you're gonna get so much money because you're getting in early, so you pay now and you get the profit later, depending on how you work. This is the pitch, and that's how that's how a lot of pyramid schemes work, but it's just it's not necessarily like that. So for example, if you think of Amway, for example, or like even Tupperware and stuff like that, where there's the barrier to, or there's more recent stuff like basically every single MLM, and the way they work is they disguise the barrier to entry in the incentives that end up making people just buying a lot of stuff for themselves just to meet quotas and stuff like that. It's basically the same thing, it's just with extra steps, and that's why they get around not being called or classified as pyramid schemes, even though they are. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I think a lot
MLM,
of it just comes
is that the
down
term,
to
MLM?
Yes, multi-level marketing. And I've been in those too. Those are really fun. There's a lot. It's
They're
just
fun?
like you need to.
No.
Yeah, it's fun. You can see the again. It's just it's disaster tourism. You get to see people who don't really understand that they've signed up for something horrendous and awful, and that they're wasting their money and lives. Yeah. So you get to just sit there and be like, "This is interesting." You just firmly believe this, huh? You are just super confident that this is a system that is going to reward you. Interesting. Like a lot of those are really fun to kind of sneak your way into.
And then you go to their conferences where you have to pay to hear this person telling you that you're either amazing or the worst, depending on the person they picked.
Yeah, there's I really like the what was it? I like the ones. I really got into one because when my mom was sick, someone came by to try and trick her into falling for like an MLM, and they were trying to sell like it was like what was it? It was like juice. It was like some kind of weird juicing thing.
No, like superfoods.
Yeah. Where you need to pay. Basically, you need to buy a weird blender and then X amount of juicing stuff, and then you get access to being able to sell juicing stuff to other people, and you can make money. It's a great way to make money when you're at home, kind of thing. But the goal is to take
water
advantage.
Filters. It's like the water filter scheme where you have to buy the water filter and then you can sell it. Yeah, it's basically that's closer. I would say that's closer to a Ponzi scheme than a pyramid scheme.
I think that's an MLM. Yeah, Cutco knives is oh my god, that one was.
Those are insufferable.
That man,
everyone had their fucking 20-year-old college dropout neighbor that was trying to sell everyone on their street Cutco knives over and over again. It got so fucking annoying.
Knives are such a bad thing though, because they're supposed to last a long time. You're not it's much better if you sell apprentice I don't know, paints for your kid or even guitars or I learned a few months ago that there's this whole brand. I forget the name of the brand, but just guitars that were never sold in shops, but they're usually popular in the US because a lot of door-to-door salesmen, people who just played the guitar and went up to people's houses, and be like, hey, I got this guitar to sell. Do you want to hear me play it? I played it really well, and that's how they sold the guitars. But that's good. That's a good market strategy because it's a beginner's guitar. If your kid likes it, it's good. If he doesn't, or if he doesn't like it, it's whatever. But if he likes it, he's gonna need a new one because he's gonna break that one or whatever because he plays it. So, but knives are supposed to last forever. What is that?
Knives are not supposed to last forever, though. That just as an aside, knives should only last you probably
if they are bad.
Like, I mean, knives eventually break. Like their handles break. They get chipped. They get dull.
You remake.
There's only so many times
handle.
you can sharpen a knife. There's only so much metal. You will eventually
You don't
run out
need
of metal.
to sharpen knives unless you're cutting like bone with them.
No, a lot of.
Well, I sharpen.
I mean, maybe.
I'm sorry.
Maybe your knives are being made like
you do
with
need
some
to sharpen your knife.
Steel.
No, you need. I'm hyperbolic. I'm being hyperbolic.
Okay.
You don't need to sharpen your knife all that
lying.
often. Like a 2 or 3 year, every 2 or 3 years, you sharpen your knives. You're fine for life. That's any knife that isn't like normal steel, or like that is actually steel instead of just like low grade steel and then covered in the sort of stainless outside. Because that's what happened. If you get cheap knives, you get basically the first time you sharpen them, they'll corrode. That sucks.
Yeah, I think the major fault in most knives in America are the handles. Like a lot of times it's not that the knife itself fails, it's that the handle breaks. Usually they're made out of really cheap plastic or like really, really unprotected wood. Like it's just
you make a new one.
You
send it to a knife.
You gotta get him a wood.
Make
condom.
a new. You can't send it to a knife place. They're all out of business. Small business doesn't exist much here. Like that's the thing. That's the irony is that there's a bunch of fucking stores everywhere, but none of them are really small businesses. It's just a bunch of like McDonald's and Targets and Walmarts every fucking where. Like,
and it doesn't make much financial sense anyway, because you can buy the knives for cheaper than giving your old ones new cables or new handles.
Yeah, there's like some college kid who's willing to sell them to me for like $20 or something.
Exactly, that too. So that's what. Okay, I see. So it's not the knife that lasts forever; it's the cable. Or freaking, I keep saying cable. The handle.
Yeah, the handle doesn't last forever. The knives are fine usually. It's very rare that unless you're really unless you're stabbing a lot of people, it's very unlikely that you're going to be needing new knives soon.
Yeah.
Because you should not be damaging a knife enough that you can't just whetstone it back to health.
Yeah,
like that'd be wild.
Unless you're butchering or cutting like leather. That's like the butcher's knives.
Yeah.
Even butcher's knife will last for like a season, and they're working on it every day.
But yeah, there's a lot of those in the U.S. Like a shit ton of those kind of schemes and scams. They're everywhere. It's really hard to know. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, if no one tells you about them, it's weird how you would just on the whole accept them. Like the concept just seems fine and rational.
Familiar.
You just wouldn't find it weird because like even though it's a joke, realistically it is pretty parallel to capitalism. Like it's hard to tell that this isn't just a normal part of the machine because it feels so very similar to how the rest of it works. Like,
and the marketing
every business just has a guy at the very top and everyone else just works for that guy, right? That's just normal. And you're like, no, no.
And the marketing
like
strategies
this.
are grounded on the whole, self-made kind of pull yourself by the bootstraps, be your own
be your own
employer
boss. It's
kind
just
of
like
thing.
it feels almost like a weird hybridization of gig economy kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's one of those things where it's like I heard about pyramid schemes and stuff like that and these kind of things like jokingly so often for so long that I thought everyone just understood. But like obviously not everyone understands because otherwise they wouldn't be a thing that comes up all the time. Like people just get sucked right back into them all the time. So like I remember my stepmom was like pulled into a fucking like makeup one where it's like you buy these makeup kits and you go around and you try to sell them and you can be your own boss. I'm no, it's literally just the same thing again. How I thought You're older than me. You're supposed to know this stuff.
Age, unfortunately,
Again,
doesn't...
it just no. It's just the annoyance of how do you describe it? It's like your brain will turn off on something obviously bad if you're desperate enough to need it to be legitimate.
Then,
like you
because they're
just lie,
predatory
you
as
gaslight
well.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of the same like onboarding that got people into like NFTs and stuff like that is that they think that it's going to be like their exit from capitalism essentially.
Yeah. You think it's like if someone pitches it to you as a lifeboat from a bad situation when it is just another anchor to make you sink faster. And it's like, oh, okay, well, don't trust that. If there's only one, I'm going to tell you right now the secret. I'm going to tell you the secret to get rich quick.
The secret?
Any
Trademark?
The secret? No. The here's the secret that this is the only way to do it. This is the only way. There is no other way to get rich quick in this entire world. You need to be born rich. If you're not born rich, you're not getting rich. That's it. That is the fastest way to do it. If you're born not rich, die, come back again as a rich person. That's it. That is the only way to do it. That you are not going to get rich any other way. You can struggle your ass off to get moderately successful, moderately wealthy, but you will never be rich. You will never escape capitalism unless you are born out of those shackles. So that is the only way to do it. If anyone comes offering you a way to get out of this system, they're lying to you. They're absolutely lying to you. You will never be successful without struggling through what is amounting to legalized internment slavery through capitalism. Like you must be working under somebody. You must be working in conditions that are not as favorable to you as you want, and you must be making money that is not enough to get out of your current situation. Like that will always be the way. That's how it will always be under the system. And that's fine. That's just the way that it was built. But don't believe people when they come up to you and we're like, I got this crazy idea. No, you don't. You have nothing but a scam to sell me. This is all just a lie. Like you cannot trick me. Like seriously, that's just what it is. Like NFTs won't save you. Bitcoin won't save you. Whatever the new thing is, right? Fucking God only knows what fucking Elon Musk will come up with next. Whatever the new thing is, there is no way to get out of it. You will never reach those heights without being born into it. Or the alternative method, you just destroy the system that exists and then just make a new one where you're at the top. Those are your only options.
No, that's just taking advantage of capital. That's how capitalism works, because it sells the promise.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's one of the ways it works. It sells the promise of the way out is to exploit the people that below you. You were born in a position where you've been exploited your entire life, and every dime you make goes to either your house or your the premise of consumption as the objective of working, basically. And
I wish I had a house.
If you have what I'm trying to say is working people, we all earn our money, and our objective with that money is to spend it. We're not thinking of the traditional investment of that money, let alone generational wealth, which is the real end goal, is generational wealth. But the basic premise around capitalism is that if you start out by yourself in your little shop and you make knives and you work really hard, you can get employees to make you work less hard and earn the same or more. And that, this is simple, straightforward, right? This is the normal, everybody understands this. But if you distill this, if you really look at it, it's just you started out being exploited by the people who were employing you or trying to employ you anyway, because you had your own shop, but who were maybe you were renting the place or whatever, because there's always a master, right? You started out like that, and the goal is to become those people, because you're taking their place.
This sounds like a BioShock thing. There's always a master somewhere. No matter how many times you go to a different alternate reality, there's always a master with a whip. Like
a man shoots.
No, I'm trying to say, like, the people. The definition of working people is kind of weird or a working person, because it isn't necessarily about the work you do. It's about the wealth that your work does, where that wealth goes. That's the fundamental class disparity here. Is there's people who work to live, even if they make a bunch of money, and if they have their own house or whatever, unless they're landlords, in which case they're owner class. But just
That's
even if you
still
make a bunch of
that's
money,
still exploitation. You're still exploiting people. Like you're relying on people that are unable to afford their own private residence to
yeah,
pay
I'm
you
saying
money.
fuck landlords.
Like, yeah,
No, that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like
But I
you're
mean,
at work, even if you make a bunch of money from your job, and you buy a new car every week or whatever, you're still working class because you're still like your way of life. Obviously, you're rich, but your way of life is predicated on I get that money and I spend it. And for the vast majority of people, there's no choice. It's I get that money and I'm at the whim of how much bread costs this week or how much chicken or whatever, and rent, right? So, but the fundamental conditions are the same. Getting out of that implies or requires that you get somebody else to be in that position. There's no under the system as it is. There's no way of getting out of that without forcing other people to be in the or taking it. It's not forcing; it's exploiting the fact that other people are in those situations as well, and that's why landlords are exploiting the fact that they have the money to buy the house and bring the house prices up.
Whoa! They don't have the money to do anything. They're using businesses as cover to buy a bunch of homes.
To buy a bunch of
because then if there's a failure, they can easily just get rid of the homes, and it doesn't come back to them and cause them to lose all the money that they gain from all the homes. It's a
sophisticated landlordism, not freaking. This isn't 1960s anymore.
Yeah. No, actually, if someone tells you that if there is anybody you meet who doesn't have to work and makes money, or someone tells you that you can make money without having to do a lot of work after X amount of time, they're your enemy. You need to get ready to fight them. They are a detriment to your society.
Probably a detriment to you as well.
They were a successful YouTuber 5 years ago, and then they just stopped working.
Nope. Because that's the thing is that that's not.
No,
even
but even
true
they
in and of
don't
itself.
know.
Even if you're a successful YouTuber, you still need to be working. You still need to be doing something, right? Like the only way you can't work is if you're exploiting something. Because even if a YouTuber isn't making current videos, that doesn't mean that they'll be making money enough to sustain themselves forever. Because costs rise. What if like rules change in YouTube and their video goes like unmonetized unless they change a thumbnail?
Yeah,
like,
nobody wants to live off of like. Nobody wants to not do anything. Somebody who has a YouTube channel, especially a successful
I want to
one,
not do anything. I would love to not do anything. I would love to just have enough money or have the resources to just do hobbies for the rest of my life and enjoy.
But that's what I'm saying.
Things.
The hobbies, you're doing them. You're doing things, and at the point, there's a point where
it
doesn't matter what
people
imagine.
just accused Andrew of doing things.
No, but what I'm trying to say is the hobbies aren't just for yourself. There's going to be even if it's just gaming, right? You're like you want to share the experiences with other people. If you're playing multiplayer, you want to partake in competitions. You're if you have maybe you have a blog or a YouTube channel just to talk about the games, and we do, right? But even if it's just gaming, hobbies become you spend a few years just doing it for yourself at most, and then it becomes more than that, right? It becomes a part of our social sort of shared experience that even if you're living off whatever money you made when you were young, you're gonna have a lot of avenues to make money anyway, and it's gonna be up to you to monetize them, as it were, because if you could just have a YouTube channel and not monetize it, but why would you not monetize it? The system is there for you to. So even if you did make a successful
maybe
YouTube
I
channel,
don't want to be a part of capitalism. Maybe I just want to make things for fun. I don't want money. I just
that's true.
Live free.
But that's what I'm saying. People generally don't want to not do anything for two reasons. Generally because their hobbies are the thing they want to do. And the other thing is because once you do a thing for long enough, it's kind of easy to monetize it. And so people
it's
tend to take advantage of that.
It's not real anyways. There is no such thing as not doing anything and making money. You can't. Like the lie is just like, well, yeah, I mean, money is always required and you're never always running out of it faster than you can possibly make it because someone else is always trying to make more money. Like that's
you can
the
literally
thing is like
if you're literally a millionaire,
you're
done.
even if you're super
You're-
rich, the way that your job becomes networking. Your entire life becomes going to different events, social events, to try and talk to more people, to try to gain more connections and use those connections to get more money and secure more wealth. Because like that's your only avenue. You like it's just a different shitty system, but the goal for everybody is always just to get more, and get more. That's why it doesn't work. That's why you can't keep doing it this long.
I wonder if
Because
there's ever
gonna be
been
too many
somebody
people.
who just like won the lottery and then they're like, nice. And then they just, that was it.
Statistically,
they're
all
yeah.
dead.
They were just done. They're all dead.
No,
You would be shocked. Here, let me pull
Yeah, a lot of
pull the
people
numbers, but like the majority.
Murdered.
Yes.
Not
So
murdered.
it's either so you'd be surprised. There's a lot of interfamily
Well, actually,
murders
now that I think about
that
it.
happen. They're
Yeah.
they kill themselves technically. That is murder still, but a lot of
yeah,
them kill
mental
themselves.
health is a big problem. But that's
yeah, winning
also
the lottery.
I
Winning the
imagine-
lottery is pretty much like a curse. It's a debuff put on your body. Like you get
I know-
hurt dramatically from it unless you are like already wealthy. Then you are. Set.
I know, yeah. I know of people who have won the lottery. It's Portuguese lottery, so it's not as much, but still enough for them to not. If they wanted to just live off that for the rest of their lives, they probably could. But I know of people I know of one person who has won the lottery and they just kept working and just doing their thing, and they're like a constructor, or they do construction, right? The stone worker sort of thing. What's mason? I think maybe.
Stonemason? Of course he'd win the lottery.
No, I don't know the terms, but the people who like make the hard concrete bits of your house rather than woodworkers and stuff like that. And he just kept working because he was like, okay, I have this money, this is good, I can not have to worry, but I still like working, I still like have all these colleagues and friends. What am I gonna do in the morning? Just stay in bed?
It's like,
So
this
it
is
just
where,
goes to
this
work
is where
whenever.
people know me.
Yeah, it's his life. Because it's to detach yourself, like the dream of saying fuck you to everybody and just
I mean,
I'm off.
work would be a lot
But-
less torturous if you didn't have to do it. Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Granted,
I mean,
if your job was horrible, then you would be dropping it in that situation. So if you're willfully going back to your job after winning the lottery, that must mean you actually have an okay job to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I mean, realistically, the problem is that a lot of people that win the lottery don't actually know how to be financially secure. They end up usually spending it all or misappropriating their funds really quickly rather than taking what you should do, which is take all of your winnings and put it directly into like a high yield savings account or something.
Yeah.
Or put it into actually that's probably not as good. You probably should put it into a what's it called? It's a stock market thing. Mutual funds, I think it's called.
Oh, the ones that mortgages, not mortgages, the thing that you get when you're old. Pensions? Yeah, the ones that pensions are based off of.
Basically, and you put it into that, and then by the time you're like 50 or whatever, you'll have like $20 trillion, and then you can pass it on to your good for nothing fucking family you hate. The idea is like, no, I would not either.
I'd make video games if I won the lottery, which I cannot because I don't play the lottery. And by the way, don't play the lottery. It's a terrible thing. It's a scam. But if I did, I would definitely make video games. That's what I would do. So waste the money away is what I would do.
I would make a death trap. I would find
whom?
Yeah, I would.
To whom?
I would literally for anyone. I would literally just make I would make a house.
I like traps.
Yeah. So I would put a house on a hill, and then I would build an entire nightmare underneath it, right under the ground. It would just be like a death trap bunker maze underneath. And then I would just trick people into being like, "Hey, there's a lot of money you can win if you come down here." And
so you're like that guy from Dead Money in New Vegas.
Except the important part is that you never you're never there. You don't need to be there. You just have you have like automations or workers or something.
Yeah, the robots. You're literally
yeah.
reenacting that money from
Yeah,
New Vegas.
and
I forget the name of the guy.
yeah, and so yeah, the fun part, right, is that you get to just see as this one house becomes a nightmare for this town because like people keep coming in to try to win the money. You can't like go in there and save people because it's a death trap. Like the cops aren't gonna walk in there and like die.
Spread,
yeah,
and the
like
ghouls.
you just take over eventually. I did it because there's I want to do that 2 reasons. One, because I was inspired by a house that was in our old hometown next to the prison. Do you remember that house, Keith?
Uh,
There is next to the maximum penitentiary or the maximum security penitentiary.
I remember
that was
the
across
Hawk
the street
Sanctuary.
from the Hawk Sanctuary. What?
You never went to the Hawk Sanctuary?
It was on the hill next to the prison?
Yeah, there was a big bird sanctuary by the prison.
Are you talking about the SPCA?
SPCA. I don't know what that means.
It's you have to type in the town. You have to be like Backville or it's ASPCA. Sorry, ASPCA.
This looks like it's a dog shelter.
It is an animal shelter. Yeah. I don't know of anything else nearby besides that house and the mental ward.
At the very least,
it's right
somebody
next to
had
the
hawks.
prison? What the fuck? Okay, well, it's not that. Anyways, next to this prison, next to this maximum
Just rewrote
penitentiary
Andrew's
prison,
understanding of this town.
I just don't know where you could possibly be talking about. Like, I worked at that SPCA, and there's like nothing else. It's literally that SPCA is right next door, like fucking right next door to the prison. Like, you can look out from that area and just see the prisoners playing basketball. Like, that's how close it is. And then the only nearby thing from there is just the house that I'm talking about, the creepy fucking house on the hill. That house for the past 20 years until the owner died, that house was immune to fires. We would get fires on that hill yearly, but that motherfucking house had a force field of water. It literally would like when there were major when there was major fires that would
rivers.
happen. No. It's on a hill. It's on a dry ass fucking dead hill. There's nothing around. What happens is that when okay, well, it's not permanent. It's not there all the time. What he does, right? What the guy does is he goes out and I've seen this fucking guy. This is why I'm inspired. I've seen him. He goes out. He has a system where it's seriously, this house is amazing. He goes out, he puts a giant thing around. He has like this inflatable thing he puts around the house, like a barrier. And then what he does is he has like he has water, like sprinklers going around that barrier that's stopping like any kind of. He's making the grass so wet that it can't catch fire. And then it just protected him. He was fine. Like, you would see the fire go over and the fire would just do a little circle around him. He would have like green grass around his home and the fire would just do a little circle around his entire house. It was fucking crazy. And then the guy died.
Are you sure he wasn't a firebender?
Maybe.
Or he just had sprinklers? Maybe?
I don't know if sprinklers are enough to defeat a wildfire.
No, so he had the system was that he would like get a huge chunk of his land around his home would be so soaked to the core that not even a fire would dry the shit out. Like, it's just constantly wet. And then he had bags of sand around his home so like it couldn't the fire couldn't get there without it having to jump over these bags, which there's nothing for it to jump over to. It was like literally just dirt. He would just have the sandbags around, then just dirt. Anyways, the point being that
it's just dirt.
I don't know what the fuck was going. I don't know what was important about that house, why he had to live literally there of all places. Again, on the top of a hill. It's not a farm. There's no like farmland or anything. He's just on the top of a fucking hill that catches fire every year next to a major prison where when prisoners escape, they run in the direction of his house. Like, I don't understand why you would fucking live here. And for some reason, he did everything in his power to protect his home.
And they have a nice conversation.
I think he made this house to trick prisoners to run into it to try to escape into, and then he fucking kills them. That's what that's what I'm saying happens. I think that's what he was doing there. And
I'm
good
just
for
amused
him,
by, like,
but
Andrew's,
also
fucking. I mean, I feel like every third podcast, Andrew's just like, I like to be on some more lists. Just put me on some more lists.
what do you mean?
Uh,
How does it
but-
put me on a list?
But in this case, he's like, what I would do if I was a billionaire is I would make a big hole.
yes, a big
a
death
big
trap hole. Why
hole
would you not do
that
that?
tricks you.
Yes, that's the best thing to do.
You
I
basically-
mean,
You
okay,
basically make the moaning cavern.
it would be amazing.
Oh,
Do you know about
That's
that?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
You know about the moaning cavern? You're not local.
Oh, you've talked about it then.
Oh,
I've
okay,
heard
that
of
might
it.
be it. Yeah. There's the moaning cavern is this I've been there a bunch of times because it's just like a really cool cave to like go like walk down the giant, because they have a giant
It is neat, though.
spiral cast iron staircase that goes all the way down to the bottom. It's just a vertical chasm, and it's deep. It's fucking deep.
It's
And-
very
Oh,
deep.
yeah.
And because it's so
There's a
deep, it
website.
has like shockingly cool looking rock formations from all the different stuff
Mhm.
that all the limestone and stuff has done from the water flowing into that thing. Because the water just,
yeah.
you see every variation of weird shit that water does to rock in that one room all at once. And also it's very disorienting because you can't quite tell which way is up and down in that room when you're looking around
hate
in
that.
it. Like when you're looking around in it, there's a
that.
lot, you're used to walls and you're used to structure. So when you look at this place, there's not really a clear shape to it when you're looking around in it. So you kind of keep losing track of which way's up and down, aside from the, your bodily sense for it. Incredibly beautiful location for how minor of a thing it is to actually visit. And I've never, I kind of started there, so I've never found a cavern as cool as it ever again. But
But
the distressing story with it is just the fact that right now it's covered by the museum and the gift shop and everything. Like there's buildings that cover the Moaning Cavern, and you go through the building to get inside. But it used to just be in the wilderness, and it used to just look like a cave. And so when people found this place, they found this massive pile of calcified remains at the bottom, because like animals and natives and so on would walk into this cave, and they would essentially like stumble upon the point of no return and just fall into the chasm.
Mhm.
Ugh.
It's like there's just so many bodies in a giant pile at the bottom.
I
They're
don't-
like sort of like they're not like identifiable, like it's that people figured out that they were all bodies at this point. It's just like this like sort of like a stalagmite of just combined mass and everything. But it's just like the idea that you wouldn't be able to tell that a cave was secretly just a huge drop. It's like the
Yeah.
earth created the equivalent of one of those horrible gourd creatures that eats flies.
Isn't the Earth cool?
Like the one that
That's-
like Victory Bell's based on, you know?
Yeah.
The ones that just, the plants that are just a stomach.
Yep. Yeah.
The worst
They're just
ideas
little-
ever.
Just acid sacs.
Yeah, it's like the earth had made one of those. It's just this earth swallows people, but like not metaphorically. It's just
swallows.
there's just an
people.
earth throat over there, and it just falls into the earth stomach, and
Oh.
everything just dies. Even if you survive the fall, like you're not coming back out of there.
There's a
That's-
really
that's
good
it.
there's a really good bat cave in Oregon that is similar to the Moaning Caves. Like the way that it's set up, it's huge. It has, you can see all the, like you're talking about, you can see all the different ways that water can fuck up a rock. Or it's not in one room, but it's over the course of like long stretches. But it's one of those, like, you get in there and you get deep enough where you're like, oh fuck, this would suck. Like I would hate to be in this cave without any of these pre-existing scaffolding structures. Like if I was just walking in this cave, I'd be fucking toast. Because it's like, it just looks, every up and down looks just the same. Like it's just top to bottom, all of it looks the same going all the way up. And you're like, how would how would you know? Like besides gravity telling you that obviously you're not upside down, like how the hell would you know that you're not that you're making any progress to get out of here? Because it all just looks the fucking same. It's very, I don't like caves. Caves are not.
They're out to
Caves
get
aren't
you.
I like caves, the concept of caves. No, wait.
I mean, yeah, I like the concept of a place I can go that isn't outside in the elements. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's the concept I like. But the concept of the fact that the Earth wants to eat you forever, and that I don't like that. I'm good on the crusts. I like the crusts.
I like the crust.
I like the crust.
I like the crust.
Yeah, but no, Earth doesn't eat me.
That sounds like a geology hat.
I like the crust.
I like the crust.
I like to sit in the back.
I'm not sure what that's about.
It's an old Fandango
It's a
commercial.
rock joke.
No.
Oh.
It's an old Fandango commercial where that was a bunch of puppets advertising the stupid ticket
paper
buying
bag
thing.
puppets or whatever.
Yeah. And there's just at one point there's just like this one that's I like to sit in the back. It was like check that guy out.
No, really, check that guy out because someone get the police in here. That guy's weird. I don't know why he's sitting in the back like that.
That's all I have to offer. The end.
No, just don't win money. Money is when you win a lottery, it's pretty dangerous for you, just in all sense. You either a lot of people have put hits on family members to get money. That's not great.
Jesus.
Just avoid it. Just genuinely avoid it. You'll unless you were like completely alone in your life and you have no idea who your family is, then if you win the lottery, you're going to find a lot of people who are going to claim to be your family. So then you'll find a bunch of new family members. So that's nice. But
Even fake ones.
yeah, even if they're fake, they're still family.
Yeah.
If you're here, you're family.
No, it's dumb. There's no get rich quick scheme. Just always be dubious about stuff when it comes to money. Money ain't easy, and that's how it's been intentionally built. So if someone comes along with easy money schemes, you should not trust them and take their money, all of it. Put it in your little money bag and then run away. Like a
my
goblin
get
in the
rich
night.
quick scheme is give me money, please. Grabby hands. I would like
Your
some
get
money.
rich quick scheme is to just do things that people see and then they give you money for.
It's not
Which
quick
is,
at all.
Crazy. No, it's not very quick.
It's not working.
It does work though. It's not working. Oh no.
No. It technically generates
Have you tried-
revenue. It's not a get or rich or quick scheme.
I think you just need to convince more people to make money for you. That's the problem.
Yeah, like in some
Then
kind of
you're missing-
pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Egyptians had pyramids, and they worked out well for them. Everyone loves their pyramids, so you need your own pyramid. That's how it should work.
No, that's a pyramid schematic, Andrew.
Oh,
It's extremely different.
I didn't. I mean, you know what? The pyramids all have money in them anyways, so like it seems all the same to me.
They don't
I was
have money.
I was gonna say I don't think there's anything profitable about pyramids either.
Well, not anymore. It's all been looted, but before it used to have a bunch of gold and shit.
Yeah, I'm saying like I don't think you profited from having pyramids.
You were well. I don't know. It's a tourist attraction, right? You're getting
Not back
tourism money
then.
from having pyramids.
No, I'm talking about the people who made
Not back
the pyramids.
then. What? No
I don't-
way.
I don't
I
think
don't
the-
believe that.
I don't think the people who
I
made
bet you-
pyramids profited from making pyramids.
Well,
No, they
I mean,
profited from
people
the
who made-
slavery and the imperialism.
The people who made the pyramids were pharaohs. They were already fucking rich. They had the wealth of the state.
Yeah,
or whatever.
you're the ones
But-
that introduced pyramids.
But I'm saying that the pyramids make money for the state, and so the state who owns the pyramids is making money off the pyramids. They are making money off pyramids. It's just on an
Thousands of years
individual who's
later,
making
a
it.
completely different government
No,
and
I guarantee.
society.
I bet you. Pyramids were what else was going on in that time period? A pyramid
They
is something
had
interesting
I
to
don't
look
think
at.
tourism was really an industry back then.
I think it was. I mean that was literally all the Romans did. They just did destructive tourism. They went around, destroyed whatever they. They're no different than American tourists. They go to a place, they destroy everything in sight, and they go, "Wow, that was really fun," and then they leave and go back home. Like that's
It's just that
all
American tourists are a little bit louder.
No, it's just that you guys aren't allowed
the
to-
Centurions.
Okay, look, Americans are bad, but we're not that bad. We're not as loud as those guys, all right? We're much quieter as tourists. We're as destructive, but not as loud, right? We have some decorum.
You say that, but you say that as an American. I'm just saying.
I'm not
you're not an
loud.
American.
I am not
No,
loud. Everyone in Europe is just deathly quiet. You people need to speak up. Have a
Yeah,
voice
you need
for
to
once
raise
in
the
your
noise
goddamn
floor.
fucking lives. Yeah,
No,
like
why-
this is
why
why
are
you
you
let. This is
shouting?
why you. This is why you let Americans walk all over you in the global stage, is because you won't fucking speak up. Just use your fucking voice. Like, why do I have to yell every time I'm in Europe to get attention from people? This is why
You don't.
things suck for you. Yes, you do.
No, you
I
look
suck.
at people in a certain way, and they know. What
I'm
you
not
are.
looking. If I look at you, it's because I've gotten up and I'm ready to fight now because you've ignored me
Is he
for 30
simmering?
minutes.
Is he
That's
simmering
the
at
only
me? Is this
reason.
simmering?
It's
That is-
it's
I
what
am
we were
not
talking
doing-
about. It's what we
No.
were talking about a few podcasts ago about the eye contact thing and the lack of eye contact. It's words. It's
me
like body
stressing
language.
out because I'm socially bad.
Why did you
that's
bother?
fair.
Why did you bother making language if I have to look at you to get my point across? What's the point?
Looking
Just
is language.
speak. No, looking
that's
is not language. Looking is a threat. If I'm looking at you, there's a problem. That I don't want to be looking at you. If I have to look at you, you might want to start running. Like, I should just be able to say something, and then it's here, right? That if I just go like, can I get some help over here? I don't want to look at you when I say that. If I have to look at you, I'm mad. I'm pissed. Something's wrong.
If I'm looking
like
at
it's
you,
about
you
to
have
go
seconds
down.
to live.
Yes. Like, don't. I'm not. And even also, that's a fucking lie. Because I know goddamn well the moment they hear me speak English, they just ignore me for fucking 30 minutes. They don't even come around to look near me. I even look at them and they just walk away. They don't even take a second to look in my direction because they hear my English and they go, fucking stupid American. So what am I going to do? I'm going to be a stupid fucking American and yell really loudly for service to embarrass you for your failure to do your job correctly. That's what I'm here. Because you can't embarrass me. I can't be embarrassed. I'm American. What am I to be embarrassed about? I'm American. So only you can be the one that gets embarrassed.
There's
I have all
nothing
the
more
power here.
embarrassing than that. So it's like
There is
what?
nothing. There is nothing more embarrassing to a European than having an American yelling at them. They fucking hate that shit. That pisses them off so much. They get so aggravated by that, and that is the funniest shit ever because the simple
It's like when a
solution
baby is crying
is
on the
to not-
plane and everyone's looking at the mom, but in this case,
Yes.
it's like it's there's an American crying at a non-American, and like, well,
Yep.
it's your problem. He chose you.
Yeah, exactly.
An annoying American
Yeah.
in public is like the equivalent of like the baby in Lethal Company just attaching itself to one of the players and becoming that person's problem.
You're like,
Like,
I
know
have never had
listen,
English.
you've got to make him happy, or we're all gonna die.
yeah, that's pretty much it. And you
I've
know how you're
never
not going to
had
do
a-
that is by looking at them weirdly, because Americans will not pick up on that shit. They will look again.
Yeah, you guys-
if you
you
look
guys
at an
just
American
don't
weirdly,
eye
you're
contact.
doing that because you want to fight somebody. I'm ready to fight. Let's fight. But I thought we could talk this out first. Like, looks aren't enough. Don't do that. I'm not.
I've never had a problem with babies on a plane, but if the person behind me even looks at the pocket, the little thing at the back of my of the chair, I'm getting tilted. Let alone if they
What?
touch it. If they touch it, I am upset.
Have you just never been on a plane with a baby before?
I
That's
have.
wild.
I just don't mind it. But the people touching the back, the
You've not been close
'cause
enough to the baby, clearly.
that's true. Not in the same sort of.
You're not in the
bank
row with the
row.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've had babies behind me and in front, and it's fine. It's fine. But it's the touching my lower
No.
back that I hate, because I'm trying to be comfortable, and if you're gonna touch my lower back, I'm gonna spend the rest of the flight like slightly twitching.
Touching
And
my
being like,
lower back.
Yeah, because if you put stuff in the pocket of an airplane seat, if it's it's normal economy seat, right? If you touch there the padding, you can feel it. You can feel the stuff moving around through the padding. So because
You can?
because yeah, if you lean
That's
back
wild.
or not if you lean back, but if
Oh,
you sit up,
I think that's a
basically.
European thing.
No, American planes are the same. I definitely.
All the planes
Well,
that I've
man, you
seen,
gotta-
the
you
entire
gotta-
back of the plane is like solid. The entire back of the seat's like solid plastic. I don't see how you just feel what's inside what's also
Maybe-
itself a plastic compartment.
Maybe I'm just a sleeping princess with just like seven.
Sleeping
seven
princess.
Yeah, I think
Seven
you're
freaking
like very
mattresses.
sensitive.
I'm just like the
Yeah.
entire thing
ve-
is like a solid plastic
no,
seat,
it's plastic around.
and then the thing that the stuff is in is like it's like basically like a net.
it's a net on the on your side as the passenger behind, but on the other side it's like Kevlar, and it's like plastic or whatever. But I can definitely feel it, and I hate it.
Colonel's so
So
dainty.
bring on the babies. Yeah, it's the sleeping
I-
princess with the
Colonel's so dainty.
Yeah, that's
I
wild.
remember
I could not
there was
imagine.
the time that I think God, what were you going to? I think it was that we were going to where was I flying with there's a place where I was flying, and it turned out that I was on the same plane as Toaster.
Mm.
Was it with Stephanie and Toaster? I feel like it might have been. I think I might have been
Sounds about
taking the
right.
plane with Stephanie, and then Toaster was also on the same plane, but we didn't plan that. He was just also somewhere else in the same plane, so we met up at the airport, waiting at the terminal and so on like that. But he got put next to. He might have been working on the visual novel. He got put next to a young toddler and his parents, and the toddler just kept like grabbing at his shit and messing with this stuff when he was trying to write, and then the parents are just like, oh, like just the most insufferable kind of parents that just like, oh, our baby is so cute, and not like, I need to restrain this child because it is actively fucking with a stranger. And he was like, he was just losing his fucking mind having to deal with this child on this flight that was just taking a specific interest in him the whole time.
That seems
yeah.
That seems like you can immediately let the flight attendant know.
Sorry, we're going to have to eject this baby.
I'm just saying.
I mean, they'll move you, like if it's becoming enough of a problem and the parents clearly can't do anything about it. Like, if there is a limit, a reasonable limit of like, hey, look, this kid's fucking accosting me. If they don't stop it, I'm gonna accost the child, and they'll be like, all right, we gotta get you out of here. like we gotta get you around.
I respect the how upset that made him, but I'm just saying I beat the flame lurker on my first try with my cat hanging on and killing my elbow as I did it.
So I guess you just built different.
Yeah, I'm just built different. It's just like,
yeah, but you can't even handle people touching the back of your chair. What do you mean?
Look, I'm okay with the arm, not the back.
It's an unhinged sentence to be like,
Have
I
you
respect that
ever-
the baby bothered Toaster, but I beat the flamethrower on my first try, so.
With my cat, the cat wanted to fight my arm. I couldn't put him away because the game doesn't pause.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Either
So
way. So I had to get up, but the cat was fighting the arm still as I was up and killing the flame lurker. That was an easy fight, though. To be fair,
Yeah, famously easy fight, the flame lurker.
it is, right?
No.
It isn't.
The flame lurker
No,
might be
wow.
the single biggest wall in all of Demon's Souls.
Wow, really?
What else would it
so-
be?
The King King Arturius or whatever.
No, the King Alan's easy.
Is he? Oh, I died once and I went back.
Yeah, he's just a generic.
wow,
He's
geez.
just like a generic boss.
He has too much health. It's like I've been killing you for like an hour. I haven't been hit a single time, and then make a mistake and die. Like well, whatever. And Flame Lurker was relatively easy. The one that I had the most trouble so far. And obviously it depends on what level you're in and prioritizing and stuff. I'm playing. So for context, I'm playing Demon Souls Remastered for the first time. I've never played Demon Souls, and I'm finding Demon Souls better than Dark Souls. It's a really, really good game, and highly recommend it. It's better than Dark Souls. The story included. I like the story better, the presentation and everything. It's a little bit.
Oh yeah, no,
know.
Demon Souls is better than Dark Souls in a fair number of ways.
Mm-hmm. No,
Like-
not weapon variety. I'm finding bastard sword all the way.
Dark Souls' primary advantage was just the fact that it came out multi-platform.
Oh yeah.
in an era where famously the PS3 was not very popular, especially in the first half of that generation. So
Mm.
Dark Souls coming out on a Xbox just massively exploded its popularity, and people kind of worked backwards from there. Like, well, this was my favorite, and it's where I had the because like it is hard to escape. Like, well, which game gave you the impactful experience of overcoming a Souls game? Because you kind of only have that for the first time once, and then after that, it's the obviously after the first time you've already won once. Now every game is either too easy or it's bullshit, and this one's bad now. that's the character arc of Dark Souls.
When does it?
Dark Souls 2 for me
bullshit?
was the first time was very difficult. I definitely struggled
No,
against
Dark Souls 3 is upsettingly it's legitimately beyond the pale. You're like, why the fuck is this game like this? It needs to chill.
Wait, what did I say? I meant Dark Souls 2 is difficult. Dark Souls 3 was it's fine.
Yeah.
Did I misspeak? I may have misspoken.
Maybe, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I could have misheard.
But
they're every game they make it's progressively harder in a way that's like you start questioning it at some point. We're like, hang on, should this be this way? Should they keep going this far? But you never re-experience the original thing of like having to like learning curve the whole thing from scratch and then climbing that mountain all the way to overcome it. Instead, in all the other Souls games, you already know how to play them. Basically, it's just this bullshit. Like you intuitively know what you're doing, so you don't actually get that full arc. It's just it's the much more simple thing of just being able to beat a thing that you didn't beat at first.
Mm-hmm.
So people have an emotional connection to the first Souls game that they had that journey with in many cases, and I think that's a significant part of why Dark Souls 1 is often framed like it's the best one in like an Ocarina of Time kind of way, when it's like
it's very good, but it isn't the best one.
I mean, none of the games are bad, but Dark Souls 1 it has the shakiest legs of all of the games that they've made.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of interesting because it like now playing Demon Souls, I really see the Demon Souls has so many of the ideas that Dark Souls and even Elden Ring just sort of revisit. Like almost every level and every little location I can see rhyming with another game and another part of another game. I'm trying to think of an example where that wouldn't be, and I think the now, and I'm coming up with the explanations of why it is do you know that level full of leeches? The Leechmonger is the first boss, and it's basically Blight Town, but in Demon Souls.
Yeah.
I think they have shied away from doing that idea because of how badly received Blight Town is from Dark Souls 1. And honestly, I think Blight Town is a fine level. It's difficult, but it's a fine level. It's frustrating as well. Like I've gone hollow on Blight Town. I have had characters that I didn't play again because they died with 40 souls on the ground on Blight Town, or 40,000 souls on the ground. But they definitely don't go back to that. But everything else, it's just like there's just so much stuff that rhymes, enemies and level design, enemy
like
distribution.
Poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah, well, but it's the fact that it's sort of a close knit team that also has the things they like to do. So they like corridors with stuff blocking the path so that archers can shoot you in the back, and you can have to fight the red-eyed guy in front. That's fine. That's a thing. That's the large part of the difficulty of the Undead Burg in the beginning is being able to avoid the guy with the crossbow and the guy with the bombs while fighting the undead downstairs. And it's just obviously people say that it's and it is true that Demon Souls is an integral part of knowing the Souls franchise, but and I have seen a bunch of Let's Plays, but playing it for myself is really a different kind of experience that a Let's Play can't replicate.
First game's real neat. I tried to start it with I tried to start Andrew on Demon Souls because it seemed logical, but you get a very particular dilemma with the fact that like the first, because like arguably, Demon Souls 1, Demon Souls 1, Demon Souls is arguably the easiest From Software game from that series or era or genre, but it's one of the most punishing. And that's a distinctly different thing. Like the mechanical expectations they have on you are at their lowest, but if you die in any level, you start the entire level over. And also your health bar gets cut in half. So it's like you feel those losses, the hopelessness sets in. So like I was really caught off guard where we got stuck, but specifically like when I was playing it with Andrew, we had to give up at the armored spider. Because you have
that's right.
Because you have to deal with that. One. You have to deal with that whole level, and like the level preceding the armored spider is just a nightmare, followed by the boss itself just being reasonably capable of killing you as you're figuring out how to play the game and stuff like that. Yeah,
the fire in particular.
And it's just like it is a clear stopping point. So we made it that far in Demon Souls, then just switched over to Dark Souls, which he ended up beating.
So you didn't even play the Tower of Latria and
no,
what is
just Boletaria? I think Boletaria 1 and 2, and then Stone Talon 1, and then stopped.
Yeah, what a shame. The Tower of Latria is my.
I mean, at this point, he might have played all of them by now. I think he's played all the Souls games. I don't know if he went back to Demon Souls or not.
I never beat Demon Souls. That's the one I haven't beaten, but
it's easy.
Yeah,
it's easy in certain things, but
it's on the PS3. What do you want from me? I'm not booing
the
that
remaster.
Shit.
You played the remaster
on what, the PS5? I'm not buying a PS5 for a console with no games. What am I gonna play? I'm gonna play Demon Souls and Astro Boy, and that's it. Cool. Glad I spent like $700 on this.
It was a really weird launch for one of the highest. One of the biggest incentives to buy the console was just to get a remaster of a game that didn't do that well the first time.
Yeah.
And that famously Sony themselves didn't have much faith in to begin with. Like they refused to publish it, and then they're like, "Oh well, now there's like a cult status here. Like now we're making a remaster, and his Bluepoint's going to work on it." Like y'all didn't even respect this game the first time it came out. I see you, fuckers.
It is punishing. It is a punishing game, and I think some levels are punishing in silly ways that aren't particularly meaningful. So, for example, I forget the boss, but it's the Flame Lurker level. It's got those big fire worms that take forever to kill, and it's like a 3-pronged different avenue level. It's a very sprawling level in the mines. If you die there, you have to kill those. Well, you don't have to, but you may want to kill the fireworms again. It takes forever, and it's just.
We're talking about like the giant beetle things that kind of block paths sometimes.
Yeah, and blow up when they die. Yeah.
Sounds like I would never try to fight the fireworms in that level.
There's fireworms in that level. Wait, that are not there.
I'll fight anything.
Because at the end of that level, at the bottom of the pit, there's a bunch of fucked up fireworms that come out of the ground and hurt it to almost instantly kill you whenever you.
Those. Yeah, you need to hit them in the head.
You need to like run past them all to get like the God's hand or whatever it's called, fist weapon thing.
If you have anything that can hit them in the head, you can. They're easy to kill. They don't give much souls.
If I don't want to hit him in the head,
I just don't want to be anywhere near that thing. That's something that kills you that instantly. It just makes me want to be out of that area.
Yeah. I think the boss that gave me most trouble so far was the there's 2 bosses. They're like winged demons at the top of the Tower of Latria level 3, I think. I forget the name of the boss.
Yeah, the gargoyles are really hard.
The gargoyles, yeah, they're hard because you fall off. Because otherwise they would be easy. But and so it's frustrating because things can be going totally fine, and then they just like lag you out or whatever, and you fall off the edge and you die.
It's just rough that there's 2 relatively aggressive enemies on a tiny platform that you're stuck with, and there's that sort of race to try to like kill one of them before the other one finishes spawning, and also their behavior is just extremely erratic.
Their behavior is very weird, to the point where I stopped caring about the killing the first one very fast, because I knew the second one, if you were like, if the second one was beelining on me and being aggressive, I would just disengage and try to flee. But if he wasn't attacking me, I could just more or less ignore it, because their AI is sort of weird. They just stand around for a little bit, and so yeah. And if you die, then you have to go up the staircase, and there's an enemy that's basically undodgeable. It's the octopus head thing that you need to wait until they turn their back, so it takes forever. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah,
And,
well, the octopuses are after the gargoyle, because you fight them on the big staircase that's going up to the old monk boss fight.
No, there's
Or not the
octopuses
old monk,
behind.
but-
There's a red-bodied sort of spectral octopus head on the staircase up. At least for me, there was.
On the staircase up. I'm trying to remember the level now.
Mhm.
Tyrolatria is so
So you-
good. It's really
is very
cool all
good.
the way through.
So you spawn on the second bonfire, and you go down into the darkness across the bridge. And then you get to the tower itself, and you turn left, and you start going up and up and up and up. And obviously, there's a bunch of level around you, and you're just skipping the offshoots of the main path. And as you get onto the staircase, that is actually less walled, so you can fall off that staircase. There's like big pillars, and you see the moon and all that. You start to get almost to the top, and if it's the first time, you see this red shade, and it's a octopus head. So the first time, if your camera is not looking, it can catch you by surprise as well, because you're looking outside. But if you try to dodge it, it'll just freeze you in place and come and eat your brains. So it's very difficult to avoid damage if you want to fight it without waiting for it to turn back around. So it's for me, the gargoyles were definitely the hardest, where I died the most. But other than that, I'm just really loving the puzzly nature of almost all levels. How basically every time you go into a new area, it's like a new little idea that they had. And even if it's a silly idea, like, oh, now there's worms with the sticky magic stuff in pools of water, it's fine. It's a new thing, and that's why I think Dark Souls 2 is the best Dark Souls, is because every single location is a new idea.
They're constantly iterating. They're constantly sending new things at you.
Yeah.
There's a very much like a sense in Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2 that, like, we're in this world now. We're in this world, like, like an old school gaming in general used to be made that way. Like how Mario always has the ice level and the lava level and so on. And it's like a lot of the reason for that is that the change in theming leads to a change in like mechanical expression and overall like style of exploration and what kind of enemies you're dealing with and like the structure of your challenges and the encounters. And so you very much like you get to have a very cool, interesting, dense experience playing Demon Souls. And it's a hilarious contrast at this point to something like Elden Ring that is like so time consuming and so relatively like repetitive and so on. And there's a lot of great pacing going on in Demon Souls. And Dark Souls 2 is interesting because it's also relatively like here's fairly condensed levels and frequent boss fights, and a lot of levels that are very much like this level is doing this thing, and it's like the thing it does will be so infamous that people will rant about it for literally years, like the Shrine of Amana or something, but it was doing a specific thing.
The Shrine of Amana. Oh, you didn't like that? I love that level.
I like the Shrine of Amana. I'm saying that's the most infamous, like, hated level in that game.
Oh, right. You had trouble with the boss itself rather than the level, yeah.
No, I'm fine.
Wait, am I thinking of the wrong
I'm fine
level?
with the Shrine of Amana, and no one had trouble with the boss because the boss of that level is the Demon of Song, which is the frog, which no one has ever died to.
Right. I was thinking of the one with
the Shrine of Amana is the water pools area where
the water pools,
people are shooting homing spells at you, and people act like it's impossible for some reason.
It is difficult, but it isn't. It's a level. You do your thing. You play the Dark Souls.
It's just like when the giant blizzard full of reindeer is infamous. I get that because I hated that level, and it also stuck to me as being a specifically fucked up encounter in general.
Yeah, it was so bad.
The Shrine of Amana, I literally don't even register as being a big deal.
It's
Like,
memorable enough because you have the song of the people mimicked by the person in the tower that's kind of close by that's also singing.
like it's a neat it's a neat level. It just doesn't register to me as like the way that people act like it was Satan incarnate, and I'm like, oh, I barely registered that level. It was just like it was whatever.
Compare that to the dinosaur butts in Dark Souls 1, where people just literally ignore the enemies because they'd rather ignore the enemies than play the level. Because of course you're not gonna fight the dinosaurs in the lava.
Yeah, it's
takes forever to kite them.
Yeah, it's Dragon Buttland.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Every time somebody tells me that Dark Souls is the best game in the series and amazingly polished and stuff, I just point out Dragon Buttland. Because people always have their defenses ready. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna say that Blighttown is a bad frame rate or something. I'm ready for you. Checkmate. I'm ready to counter that complaint." I'm like, I don't care about Blighttown. Blighttown's cool. I'm not even much of a stickler for performance in games. So like, I always liked Blighttown and just thought it was a reasonably cool level. But Dragon Buttland, the land of the dragon butts.
And even the level after
it's just a whole level of lava full of the one enemy repeating over and over again. That's just the butt of an undead dragon just standing there, just awkwardly all facing in different directions. Not to mention the other dragon butt, which is that you kill when you kill the undead dragon, which is another repeating enemy, which is always rough anyway. And one undead dragon is decently placed to be a reasonable fight. The one in the portrait, but the one that's on a cliff is like so janky to fight because it doesn't have like an arena built for it. But the one in the portrait, it leaves its butt behind when you kill it, and if you hit its butt, it stands up. Its AI is broken, so if you hit it, it stands up just like all the dragon butts in Dragon Buttland. But that's just a whole level where the whole level's just the whole floor is covered in fire, and it kills you instantly unless you put on the ring, which obviously you need to do the level. And then you just have to play this level while it's continually draining your health. So it's just like a poison swamp, but worse because it's more damaging. And it's just one dragon butt repeating over and over again. And if you don't find the relatively missable bonfire in one of the spots, then if you ever fuck up, you have to do the entire thing again.
And it's so weird because they literally could have just like made some random bullshit tunnels with like bullshit
or even other enemies mixed in, like the Titanite demons or something.
But that's what I was gonna say. The after you ring the second bell or the lower bell anyway, you go down into the hells. The game takes such a deep dive of polish because all the levels they're not very interesting from an architectural standpoint. You're not looking at like it's not cool anymore like Undeadburg, but even besides that, the enemy variety is just literally the same enemies over and over again.
Oh yeah, the entire game nosedives in quality after you place the Lord Vessel, or you get the Lord Vessel or whatever. It's the thing that unlocks all the golden fog gates everywhere and lets you access the second half of the game. There's decent stuff like New Londo Ruins is kind of neat to play through, and Duke's Archives is neat to play through. But then the rest of the new levels are really rough. Well, I'll defend the Giant's Pit or whatever it's called. It's a neat fucked up experience to fight your way through a pitch black fucked up ridge like cliff cave system, and just giant skeletons are lurking just out of sight in the darkness. But the second half after that is just like a boring cave. The demon ruins are bad. The stuff that leads to the demon ruins are bad. Everyone hates Bed of Chaos, obviously. The Crystal Cave has a like a paper thin gimmick that gets old immediately, and you're just stuck walking on these invisible paths for way too long while dealing with being
the Crystal Caves
in a boring place where one enemy repeats once again for the entire level.
Yeah, the Crystal Caves are an excuse. They're a good usage of a gimmick to hide a lackluster level design. But just because you have crystals and invisible bridges, it doesn't mean that you can have lackluster level design. And in fact, you can look at I think it's Elden Ring that has a similar oh no, it doesn't have crystals, but it's got a bunch of bridges that are invisible. There's a dungeon, like I think you need to go through it to get to one of the important places in Elden Ring with invisible bridges, and it's fun. It's an interesting thing. You need to pay attention to all the, you know, all the rubble there is broken or whatever, and it's fun. And it doesn't come to mind any other From Software game that has invisible bridges like that. But what I'm trying to say is they could have made a level. They could have made it a good level, and they didn't because they didn't have time for it.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of stuff like this could have been incorporated in some way into some other structured story or something, or level. But instead, it's like increasingly in the second half of Dark Souls, when a level has a gimmick, that gimmick is the entire level, and it gets really rough because of that. Like, the Crystal Cave there's a bunch of slanted invisible paths that you need to be able to locate via the crystal snowflakes colliding with them. And then the entire level is just that and one crystal golem over and over again. It's like that. And you fought the crystal golem already at the Hydra, so it's not even a new enemy for that zone. It's unsurprising when you get to the snow area of Elden Ring, and it's just a handful of enemies. A handful, because there's giant hands in it. Just a handful of enemies from throughout the rest of the game, but bigger, and just giant empty expanses of snow, and you just kind of just get through it as fast as possible. It's like, yeah, nope, this is what the second half of From Software games often look like.
And it's funny because in that level, there's some structures and they feel so much copy paste. It's not that they're the same structures, because I don't think they are, but I think they're assets that they made, and they just literally plop them in wherever, and you just, now you navigate through these ruins in the right at the start of the snow area. There's ruins to the right, and they feel so irrelevant. They might as well not be there. And it's just like, because I feel it feels the same as in the second snow area of Elden Ring, where there's wolves and the fog sort of lifts up a little, and there's also some ruins and stuff, but the ruins don't say anything. They're the same ruins that you've seen at the beginning of the game in that first area, except now they're covered in snow and they have slightly different enemies inside. So you're literally just, going through this big expansive level that has some old ruins that you've seen already, and it sort of pads it, and it works. Like, it's not the worst, and honestly, the place that they spent the most time with, I hate it so much, which is the area with the invisible enemies that are so difficult to kill, even if you have the torch. I had to look it up. I had no idea what the torch was. The torch just makes the invisible enemies become visible. I could not figure that out by myself. And they're such hard enemies to kill.
The frequency with which they try to have a torch, a secret torch mechanic in each game is very funny.
Oh yeah.
Like in Dark Souls 2, the Cloverfield monsters run from the torch, and in Dark Souls 3, you get like infested with like leeches or parasites, and if you pull out the torch, they go away.
Oh yeah, I remember. Well, that's cool. I like that bit in Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 has cool ideas.
Yeah, they're all good games. I wish that Dark Souls 3 didn't spend so much time like visibly like signaling, "Don't you love Dark Souls 1 though?" and like constantly recalling to it in such in a way that feels fan servicey, almost as if to compensate for people's negative reaction to Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
Like sometimes Dark Souls 3 feels like, what if Rise of Skywalker was good? But it still did the Rise of Skywalker stuff. That would have been the most infuriating timeline if Rise of Skywalker like actively pandered to people that hated The Last Jedi, but also was like undeniably basically good. It'd be like, that would have been the worst possible timeline to experience. And instead it was the worst Star Wars movie ever made. Just the unwatchable. Yeah,
I've never watched.
That's not even an uncommon opinion. Rise of Skywalker is garbage.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's all I've heard.
I think
it's the first Star Wars movie.
They're all bad.
It's the first Star Wars movie I've seen that actively has that, like, this is a, like, when an incompetent director makes an adaptation, a single movie adaptation of like a YA science fiction book, like a dystopia or something, and they have to crunch all of that lore and nonsense into this one relatively short movie. And so like so much of the movie is just like exposition and then like rapidly cutting between things in a disorienting way because it doesn't have time to like breathe. Like a lot of book adaptations that have more complex ideas to crunch into them, by which I mean like lore instead of just character. They really struggle to not just be like actively aggravating to watch because the editing gets so like rapid because it's just trying to like hop between all these different scenes and make things happen, so it doesn't feel like an authentic story. Like it's also like it's not always that. It's like there's just bad editing and stuff like Suicide Squad. Like within 10 minutes of starting the movie Suicide Squad, the bad one from 2016, you already know the movie's going to be bad because it's actively hard to watch just in the opening. Like it's like, why is it moving so fast? This is so disorienting. Like I don't even understand like what I'm supposed to be like thinking about right now or what the emotional like purpose is of this. That's how Rise of Skywalker is edited. Like it's the first Star Wars movie I've seen that feels incompetently structured on like a basic like film craft level. Like while you're watching it, you're seeing the production fall apart. Like you already know that you're in trouble and that this is going to be a bad movie before you even have time to, you know, finish seeing the movie and be like, oh yeah, no, I don't think that the character arcs worked out or this is about the themes. I'm like, no, the basic craft of the film is openly bad within minutes of the movie starting. Like immediately it's like, Kylo Ren's on a red planet now and he whoopity poopity and cutting to Rey now. And you're like, what the fuck's happening? What is this opening?
I got to experience that firsthand because the anime for Bleach ended before the manga did. Like it just got canceled, and so they just stopped. But the series, the manga continued until it finished. So when they announced, they're like, we're gonna finish Bleach, right? We just got to start from where we canceled and then finish the manga up. I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun. So you get like the very beginning of the finale of the arc is like really fire because you're watching all these people do really cool moves and stuff. But the moment that dissipates and it's like, oh yeah, now we have to talk about the story again. You're like, oh, right. You don't know how to write a story. You're a shit storyteller. I forgot about that. Like it's just, it's so fun to watch it. Like, oh yeah, you guys, this is shit. I can see it falling apart at the seams. You can see like all the money got spent on the parts that they knew was going to be good. They're just like shitting their budget on all the parts that are bad storytelling moments. You can see the characters just falling apart at the seams as the story goes on. You're just like, oh, this is great. I love this. I love watching the reactions of people who are like, this is so good, and then it's just like slowly watching them descend into madness. Like, I don't get it. Why is the story so bad? What's going on? like yes. Oh, so it's good. I love it. It's
almost as good as saying no to people in the malls.
Exactly. It very much is. It's exactly like that. It's about it's just knowing that you've already experienced the true horrors of the world and getting to watch someone else new discover the horrors of the world. Like that's what's nice about it. You don't get that feeling very often, right? You end up you get to a point usually where, especially within your own age bracket, you become super jaded because you've experienced all the things, and most people in your immediate vicinity have also experienced those terrible things. And so when someone new comes along and you're like, oh, you haven't yet experienced the horrendousness, that's going to be fun. I want to watch this.
That movie's 5 years old now.
Right.
Keith, stop attacking me.
The movie's Rise of Skywalker is now older than Force Awakens was when it came out.
It's crazy. Older than the
time since the new Star Wars trilogy is now longer than the duration of the new Star Wars trilogy coming out every other year for 4 years. That's funny.
Wait, there's a new trilogy coming out? They haven't learned their lesson?
I mean, there probably is because they bought Star Wars. They're gonna make Star Wars stuff with it. They own it. They didn't buy it to not make stuff out of it. It's always been in flux. I think there was like a movie that was supposed to come out in 2025, and the most recent news was that it's no longer coming out in 2025. So they keep.
Okay.
The one I was most excited
would
for
fit.
was that there was supposed to be a Rian Johnson trilogy, like a trilogy of movies directed by Rian Johnson. Which, given how well The Last Jedi did, like that would be great to see. Just have him in full control of a whole trilogy. That would defeat 90% of the complaints that even people that don't like that movie had, because he would just be his story the whole time. So you don't have to complain about it not matching the other movies or whatever, which I disagree with. But you literally can't say it once it's just his the whole time. But that and people keep saying that's canceled, but as far as I've heard, it still isn't canceled. It's just he isn't making it.
Production hell. Yeah.
No, not even that.
Something's holding it up.
I think that he's just not started it. Like he was. I think he's essentially been like,
Procrastinating.
I can't imagine.
like he's not on contract to make it in any specific time frame. It's just he's like like been opened for him to do it, but he's like, I'm over here making the glass onion. Like he's doing like a whole he's like, I think he's already working on like his third Knives Out movie. It's like he's over there making movies that people like and entire TV shows and stuff. So he's just busy.
Sorry, I've got real art to make. I don't have time for what is it?
I think he
Star
genuinely
Wars?
loves Star Wars. I think he's excited about making Star Wars stuff.
That's crazy. Is there? I
but
really
what's
do struggle trying to.
What's perplexing is supposedly there was a plan for another Rey movie. And I'm like, why?
Okay.
I don't understand.
What happens to her?
I'm just like, it just feels like so inelegant, because like at that point you've already made like Star Wars is so consistently about trilogies, and it's like, okay, well, you had your Rey Skywalker trilogy. It's like, yeah, but we fucked it up, so you're gonna make a fourth Rey movie. You're like, ah!
You say that, but like Luke was in the other trilogy, and it felt kind of a weird pull between him and Rey as like being more important to the story.
I don't think I could say that. No, Luke's only in like a third of one movie out of 3 movies,
and it feels like he has more momentum.
He's in like 10 seconds of the first movie and like 5 minutes of the last movie. Like he's just in the middle movie.
That's too much. Get rid of him. I don't want to hear Skywalker.
I agree that it was awkward to incorporate the previous cast, especially since I'm like, man, they're just gonna kill them all, aren't they? That was my first reaction. I remember specifically I was going into The Last Jedi, just being like, man, this movie's gonna suck, isn't it? They're gonna first of all, like, I'm like they killed Han Solo, so they're just gonna kill Leia. And I don't even have a particular crazy reverence for these characters. I just think Star Wars is cool, and I grew up watching it, but I don't think that I'm not protective of these characters. Like, oh, they have to all be super cool legacy heroes in this narrative that are untouchable and so cool, and you can't question anything about their development. And they have to all end the story cool. It's like, it's not illegal to kill them, but I just could see like you have 3 legacy characters and you have 3 movies and you killed one of them in the first movie, and it sure feels like you're gonna kill one of them in the second movie. Especially since Carrie Fisher was literally dead. So I was like, oh, are they gonna like have awkwardly cut to like, oh, this is the moment where Leia died in this explosion or something, and then that's why she's not in the rest of the movie because she died in real life. But it turned out she finished filming the movie, so she's just in the rest. She's in all of The Last Jedi. And given that there is a death fake out of her in that movie, which is clearly scripted and included and planned without knowing she was going to die, because how would you know unless you killed her?
Yeah. I mean, Disney's done worse.
Because like that's you couldn't know that was going to take on the purpose it did. The most you could do is like score it and do the special effects in a way that kind of like emphasizes the moment in a way, but you can't like plan the movie around doing a fake out of Carrie Fisher's death that actually happened. But like that was actually that was an insane reveal for so many people watching that film that aren't boring. Because there are people that are like, you can't live in space. Force doesn't work that way. The Mary Poppins scene, like they made fun of the scene and laughed at it and stuff, and because everyone has different reactions to art or whatever. But like, given the context of knowing that Carrie Fisher was dead and potentially thinking that each of these trilogy movies is going to kill off one of the old cast one by one and so on, having that scene happen where Princess Leia is seemingly dying and then having her just like come like awaken and come back and like pull herself through space back onto the ship and everything was like a bizarrely triumphant scene. Like it actually kind of it was wild how hit emotionally for people because of the fact that like it's like the moment you see her seemingly dying, you're like, oh yeah, that's how they're gonna do it, huh? Because the meta narrative, like the narrative outside of the movie, is informing your viewing experience. So it's like it's such a moment of fucking with you unintentionally when she does survive the scene. Is a roller coaster of emotions.
She dies twice, right? Or there's another. She's dead, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, Luke and Leia both have like force deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like Luke dies. Luke ends up dying in the second movie, and Leia ends up dying in the third movie. And they both have I did something with the force over long distance that impacted the plot from this remote location, and then they just kind of like fade out of existence.
Mm-hmm. That's such a weird note, honestly, as somebody who hasn't watched the movies.
Yeah.
It's just like
it's fine. It's not like
I like things like there's a secret.
It worked better for Luke than it did for Leia, because in Leia's case it was just they had awkwardly not killed Leia in the second movie, and just had her around, but Carrie Fisher was dead before the third movie was being filmed. Luke's death made a lot of sense, and also just very emotionally, like the way they set up the shot, and they show the twin moons and stuff like that, and they show, and the music swells, like they do a lot to like really land that scene and have it be a really powerful send off. But Leia's is extremely lame because she dies in an extremely convoluted and confusing way where it's hard to tell what she even did or who was doing what in that scene and what the purpose of it was and whether or not she even helped or harmed her own child in that scene. Like, it's genuinely like the emotions are so unclear in what you're supposed to interpret while it's happening. And then they had the additional problem of, like, since she was dead, they were just using archival footage of Carrie Fisher and like body doubles. So it's largely just a handful of old scenes and lines of dialogue that she had left over from filming the other movies that weren't used, being like Frankensteined into a performance that she couldn't give because she wasn't really there. And then like a body double that like dressed up as Leia and probably CG to look more like her, that's just like, you know, playing her body because she's like unconscious and lying around a lot of the movie. It really feels like they needed to just not have Leia be in the movie.
Yeah, that would be probably the best option.
Been somewhere else. Like, it's not
I
like
really,
because like the Resistance base in that movie is just like a camp that just looks like it's basically in like Kashyyyk or whatever. It's probably not Kashyyyk, but you know what I mean. Like, it's just it's on some forest planet. It didn't look like that important of a specific Resistance base. It just looked like another one. She could have just been somewhere else at the time and just busy. You don't have to kill her off just because the actor is dead. It just feels a little too cynical. It's exactly the kind of cynical that I felt that made me worried about watching The Last Jedi. I'm like, oh, they're just gonna kill Carrie Fisher off. They're gonna kill Leia off because Carrie Fisher died, and it's just gonna be that rote and obvious and kind of boring. And also just like kind of like a bummer way to send out the character. But it's so like, that's why, like, every bit of why it was like surprising and cool that she survived that movie was kind of undone by how lame she was handled in the last movie, because they insisted on trying to force her into the narrative when the actor's not there to do it, and you're not going to recast her. So what are we doing here, man? What's the goal?
Look, they paid a lot of money to have Carrie Fisher for 3 movies. They're not about to let it go away.
Yeah.
It's oddly dark.
Dead or alive.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter.
It's, I mean, you say that, but that is absolutely true. Like, it does not matter whether she's dead or alive. She
I will puppeteer Carrie Fisher's corpse if I have to.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me for the new Ray trilogy, I think the fact that there was even any old cast members immediately was like, this is bad. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
care
rough.
how good the production is. I don't care what kind of story you have. It's just bad on the whole because I don't want to see these fucking geriatric people here anymore. Like, go away. Go the fuck away. Like,
Like you
the
might as well
interesting
just
thing about
you
Star
might as well
Wars
just made a new
is
trilogy about the old cast and just been like,
yeah,
look,
yeah, you might as well just
it's gonna start feeling like the movie Red, where it's just like, old
no,
man
I
Bruce
don't.
Willis and old man other people are all in a movie being old.
There just isn't an excuse to have them around. Star Wars is such a big universe. There are so many characters. You can just make new characters in this universe, right? It is that open-ended. There isn't a need to have these fucking goddamn same characters around. And they're not even interesting characters. Like that's the thing that drives me the most bonkers is that all these characters had their conclusions in the original trilogy. They are set characters. Like I don't
Yeah, they're largely done.
I don't yeah, I don't need anything from them. So when they show up, it's like, oh, good. Here, like you said, here comes the death squad, the guys who just gotta fucking die because what else are you gonna do with these people? They're not gonna have some kind of second coming of character development. Like, fuck off, man. What a waste. Just go away. Don't even bother with it. If they make another Star Wars trilogy, don't put any of the old people in there from the Rey trilogy. Don't have even a
Yeah.
hint of them. Just pretend like this is like 400 years in the future. They're all fucking gone. Like they're dead. You can have the Emperor again because God forbid you have nothing. These people will die, I guess, if there's no single one thing from Star Wars they can remember. But nothing else. Like I don't.
Somehow, the Emperor
it's-
survives.
He always does, which is fine. Keep the
Somehow
lamest
Palpatine
fucking
has returned.
the
Yeah.
lamest enemy.
Speak.
The lamest fucking enemy. I hate Palpatine.
Wait, is
dude.
that
What
in
a
the intro
boring
crawl?
Fucker.
The dead
Yes.
speak?
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes.
It's one of the
Colonel,
most.
you have to
It's one of the immediate like train wreck moments of Rise of Skywalker is that the opening title crawl just says the dead speak and immediately introduces that Palpatine is alive again apparently.
Yeah.
And is the villain of this movie and you're like what? It's like and then while you're reeling from that it then cuts to like Kylo Ren on like a red planet getting a holocron or something and then it cuts to another thing and it cuts to it like it keeps cutting between planets like way too quickly and establishing stuff way too quickly. And all you can think about is like, man, remember how the last two movies started? And how they like it's like they hung on a scene and just like actually cemented an emotional foundation for the film in some way. Like what is it? If I remember correctly, the first I think Rise of I always think of it as being Rey, but I guess I think what's it called? Force Awakens opens with it's the scene of Flynn and Kylo Ren confronting each other, which ends up like indirectly setting up. No, it's Poe and Kylo Ren, and then it indirectly ends up setting up Flynn because Flynn's the person in one of the masks. Then it cuts to Rey having like an extended introduction, setting up her character on the desert planet and stuff like that. Then like Rise of Skywalker opens with like an extended battle that sets the emotional stakes for the rest of the film because of the fact that it's like this kind of doomed fight that informs the situation that they're in for the rest of the movie, while also establishing the like the role that Poe is going to be having in this film, and like then like what he has to make up for. It's like just basic foundational stuff for the beginnings of films, and then like Rise of Skywalker, you just feel like you're falling. You're like falling through a tree canopy, and you're trying to catch anything that'll stop you. Like you're just like, please help.
Never been in that position.
Your parachute didn't open, and now you're falling through the tree canopy, and you're just bouncing off of branches, and you're trying to grab onto any of them before you hit the ground.
I have fallen down trees in that position. I just never grabbed for the
You just accepted your fate.
Yeah, because the ground is coming up very fast. I'm just really focused. I fell two trees, fell down two trees, and both times. One time I just broke one branch and I just looked at the floor as it came up, and then I landed and I didn't get hurt at all. I was like very surprised because I fell off like 5 meters height. And the second time it was a little bit less than that, like 3 meters maybe. But I broke all the branches on the way down, and I hurt myself quite a lot. like bruised and stuff because of breaking all the branches on the way down. So I don't think there's time. The cinematic experience of grabbing onto the branches as you fall down a tree, I don't think that's how it works.
You just need to fall down some bigger
You-
trees.
Usually that
Yeah.
is the case. Most things in movies are not real.
Falling down some
Uh,
baby trees.
That's true.
You're
I
not
don't
even
know
what trees have you
dead.
I'm not.
What trees have you fallen down from?
No. Why would I
It's
climb
like-
a tree?
it sounds like
That's
a pickup line.
stupid. We built society.
Yeah, what?
I said it like
What are you gonna
like it
climb a
was a
tree for?
pickup line or something.
Yeah. Baby, did it hurt when you fell out of a tree? Cause ow. Owie.
Did you grab onto the branches?
Ow,
Was
ow,
it
ow,
like in the
ow, ow.
movies?
Baby, if
Yeah, I
you
don't-
fell out of a tree, I wouldn't catch you because my reaction time's not high enough.
Because I was too worried about the floor. Or the
I
ground, I should
can't-
say.
I couldn't imagine. I can't imagine the I don't know. I can't imagine the pain of caring about a franchise in modern day. It must be just really exhausting to have allegiance to any like Western
Well,
media property and being like, look at all this fire in my fandom. Look
I
at it
don't
all
know,
burning.
Caring about any franchise has always been like that. But there are some
That's not
franchises
true.
that are I say
No.
that because I'm a Fallout fan, an RPG fan, so that's my experience. But Baldur's Gate 3, if you care about that franchise, you're eating cakes. You're good.
Mm-hmm.
You're
No, not for long. Because
But
guess who's going to buy
Wizards of the
Dungeons
Coast
and
is never
Dragons?
Wizards of the Coast is never going to work with Larian ever
Larian.
again,
Larian.
and they're planning on using AI in future productions, and they might be acquired by Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So it's not great to
Okay.
love Baldur's Gate right now.
I take
Yeah,
it
no.
back. No,
I was not wrong. My statement was not wrong. If you like Western
No, you're
media,
right, yeah.
you're in a bad place because it's all going to shit. So I feel
Yep.
bad for you. Stop caring about Western media properties. Just throw it all in the trash. I promise
Just
they can make
subscribe
better
to
ones.
our YouTube channel and just consume our
I'm
videos.
not a
and
Western media property.
No, yeah, exactly. Just watch our videos and nothing else. It's fine. You're good. You're golden. You can stay with us.
I would love, honestly, I hope Elon buys D&D. I think that would be the best possible outcome because then it means we finally get broken from the chains of this archaic system and we can just all the indie tabletop
what's
RPG
this talk,
systems can
though?
flourish
What is
Huh?
this talk about Elon buying D&D? I don't know anything about this.
because he wants to make D&D great again.
When's
It's
this a thing?
gonna stop D&D from being woke.
Yeah, it's got the woke mind virus now, because
Where-
you can't.
But is it actually a thing?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
do you-
He said he was. It's real. In that last time he said this shit, it was like a whole fiasco for him to just take ownership of Twitter because he fucking wouldn't follow through with the thing that he said. But he was just.
It's also
he's
not
clearly-
real in that he has a whole history of just saying that he's going to do certain things
Yeah.
business-wise and then never doing them. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
stock
that
market
too.
manipulation, and sometimes it's like him trying to make a bunch of different cities like compete for his favor for him to build something there, and they end up like
wasting money.
but he'll say it. He'll like make claims so like absent-mindedly that, or at least like with that so without commitment that like people will invest these like cities will invest in a ton of money into infrastructure or changes based on a thing that he was supposedly going to do, and then he just won't do it. And it just actively makes him even talking about a city can make life worse for the people that live there because he can just use up their tax
sounds
dollars and
familiar.
infrastructure for a thing that he was never going to happen. He had often had no intention of doing. He's just flexing his influence basically, and that's basically
Yeah.
what happens with how he ended up buying Twitter. Is that his dumbass kept playing this game he keeps playing with other organizations and cities where he doesn't take these interactions seriously, and Twitter did, and they literally sued him into buying them because, like, no, fuck you, you don't get to just walk back everything you said, which is hilarious, but it has made the world worse because the world is
I was gonna say
genuinely worse for Twitter to be owned by him.
I don't know. I mean, I think I at least I hope that this just turns into a thing where people realize that social media is not a
No,
go-to place.
no, people just
That's not what's gonna
largely
happen.
speaking, people just kind of like absorb what's given to them and accept the stuff that's like
Then
they-
you can't complain when things go wrong because it's your fault. You don't want to make change in your life, and that's the reason your life sucks. Enjoy it.
well, in many cases the
Subscribe to
problem is
Blue
the problem
Sky.
just isn't registered to begin with. It's just like fucking
yeah.
well, the algorithm tells me to feel these things now.
Yeah.
And so who controls
well,
the algorithm is upsetting. But anyway, yeah, I made
Man,
a
it's
visual
crazy.
novel. I made a free visual novel called Since November. It's on itch.io. I didn't finish the thought entirely because we went on a mall tangent. But it's 12,000 words. It has 4 endings. The story is complete. The assets are not totally complete. So you can play it now, or you can check back at the beginning of 2025, probably when it'll have a polished 1.0 update with the rest of the art in place and whatnot.
check it out. Check it out.
Yep.
I'm gonna
see
check
you
it out.
guys next time.
Check it out.
Or
Bye.
else.
Get out of here. Goodbye. Go away.
Or else
Bye.
Bye.
buy socks. Buy socks, like warm socks.
What?
Why?
For what? What?
Socks?
Because it's
Why?
cold. Because it's cold.
Uh-huh.
Well, not for all of us. I live in a desert. What do you
Oh, that's
mean?
fair.
Deserts
Okay,
are cold.
I take it back. Don't buy.
No.
I'm hitting stop now.